Switch chat room, take 1.
How many of your friends have you talked to about struggling with lust?
Not very many. I'd say 5 at most.
1.
Part of my closest friends.
I have not been open and honest and vulnerable about it with very many people.
I personally have only talked to I'd say 5 at the most. Not very many people.
I think for me it's the same. About until a couple months ago, I hadn't talked to anyone about it.
I've talked to just a group of my main closest people, and then separately I talked to my best friend about it because I don't know, I feel like that was something that I really needed to talk to her about. It's nothing that I've ever talked about with anybody besides a few weeks ago.
What does lust even mean to you?
I think sexual sin.
Yeah, I think for me a while ago it would have been sexual temptation, a desire to want to have that sexual relationship with someone, with a person.
Yeah.
Probably in middle school, I feel like lust would be a little bit more on the side of pornography.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But I think more recent it's for me, it's more so with people.
A desire for a relationship in certain
areas.
Build or whatever.
Right. Sex.
Yeah.
Just put it out there. That's the
Period. Yeah.
I think when you start thinking about doing those types of things with your partner, and then you start to get overboard and you're always getting a little bit too touchy.
Yeah.
I think that's whenever that line is crossed.
Crossing.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the line and you just jumped way too far.
Yeah.
Right. I think setting boundaries is so important because once you stop staying within your boundaries, that's whenever it gets dangerous. Then you're oh, well, it's not really sex. It's not I'm still a virgin. So that line can be crossed so easily.
Yeah.
So for me, it's trying to stay away from the line as much as possible.
Yeah. It's very easy to just be oh, well, this isn't
It's not
sex.
as bad as what someone else is doing.
Right.
Exactly. You're this isn't the definition of sex, so it's not bad.
Right.
You know? When you're still living in lust, it's just not
You're almost lying to yourself to make you feel better.
Right. You say that you're still pure.
Yeah.
But
but you're
you're
lying.
getting too close.
When your standards were here and you just went way over there.
Right.
Why do you think that this is such a prevalent issue in our culture today?
Listen, on TikTok and on Instagram and on social media in general, people talk about sex like it's no big deal. They just talk about their hookups. They talk about the last person that they hooked up with. They literally just talk about sex like it's nothing. It's hard when society is telling you not to do that.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but I know that's what I want to do and that's what I'm supposed to do, but society is no, sex is a normal thing.
Yeah.
I think it's either over-normalized or not talked about at all. So we're told whenever we come into the Christian faith to wait for marriage. But nobody says why. Nobody says that whenever you have sex with somebody that you get so attached to them because that's what it's meant for. It's meant to intertwine your souls, whatever, all the cute things, but it's made for marriage. But if somebody would have told me why, I maybe would listen more. I'd be oh yeah, maybe I should do that. Because it's God's best for me.
Why do you think there's so much shame and guilt surrounding this topic?
I think honestly because whenever we do have lustful thoughts or something, we keep it in our heads. We do not talk about it. We don't share with other people.
Yeah.
God heals whenever stuff is brought into light and talked about. But we feel so much shame and so much guilt that we just don't talk about it. But while other people who just don't see sex as a big deal are just no, don't feel that way. Just do it. But and then they don't talk about the after part, I think.
Yeah. I also feel all sin kind of comes with shame and guilt. But especially since sex and lust is such a taboo subject to talk about, no one talks about it, that shame and guilt is times 10 because it's so closeted. No one talks about it.
Right.
But then the messed up thing about it is I feel if some people do or certain people, then they get shamed for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then they also get shamed for not doing it.
Yeah.
And so it's
You can't
win. Yeah, literally.
You literally can't win.
Yeah.
Right, no.
It's either you're the 20-year-old virgin or
Right.
that all the movies make fun of, or you're just this person that just goes around and sleeps with everyone.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
there's no in between.
There's no making everybody happy.
Right. No, you're shamed for both.
Right.
Yeah.
I always have heard growing up about boys like watching porn or masturbating. I've never, ever, ever heard about a girl doing it. But no one talks about it about women. And it's something that I've struggled with for so long, and I felt so lonely about, because I was like, no one talks about this. Like, no one, am I alone in this? Am I the only one that's doing this because no one's talking about it? Like, I just felt so lonely and in the dark and like trapped in my sin because I thought I was the only one.
I think also like women that do talk about it, they're like told they're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Like you're not supposed to do those things. That's what men do. Like women aren't supposed to do that.
Right. And it feels like, how would you even start that conversation?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I struggle with lust. Yeah. Like, okay. Like, that's just like awkward. So like, until like we normalize like talking about it and like just being more transparent with our peers and like people around, like it isn't going to get better until like we're open and honest about it.
Yeah.
Talk to your younger self. What would you say to her that would help her to open up and initiate having this kind of conversation with someone?
I wish I could just tell myself that I wasn't alone.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
I felt so disgusting and lonely and trapped when I was younger and when I struggled with it. And I wish that I could just tell myself that there are people in your church struggling with that.
Your best friend's struggling with that too.
There are people that are sitting right here next to you that are struggling with that. You're not the only one.
Right. I think I wish I could tell myself that like, I don't owe any part of myself to anybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to have sex with my boyfriend so that he'll still be my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a relationship and that isn't real love.
Yeah.
I definitely say don't be scared to speak up about things that you need to talk about, because if you keep keeping all of those emotions and like how you felt about yourself, like disgusting and gross and lonely, like it can really eat at you for the amount of time that you're not talking about it.
And what's one thing you learned from this conversation?
I think that I just learned that it is not as uncomfortable to talk about it. Whenever I heard that first question, I was like, whoa! Cut the cameras, because I'm not trying to talk about that. But it really wasn't like, I feel good. Like it wasn't bad.
The first time that I had ever talked to a group of people about lust, like I almost had a panic attack just because of how embarrassed I felt.
Yeah.
And like I just felt like they were all gonna judge me and that like they were gonna think I'm a different person. But it's really like you get so much closer with whoever you talk to about it, you know?
Right.
Like thinking when you talk about it, someone's gonna look down on you.
Yeah. But they're not.
Yeah.
Because they can also relate in some type of way.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. We just talked about it and now I feel like, oh my gosh, like we're all
We all struggle with it.